The reality of course, is that the Canaanites, for example, all of these people groups were involved in horrific behaviors that God had warned them about for hundreds of years. The kind of stuff that you think, really? How does that even happen? These groups would do things like to sacrifice a child and put that child in the wall of the home they were building so that that sacrificed child would actually bless the new home. They would sometimes place babies on the hot hands of the idol of the god they were worshiping. And
this is kind of a weird high horse to ride in on there, J-Dubs. You're talking about how these people worship was horrible because they sacrificed kids. But then your God killed all the firstborn kids of Egypt in order to get his people out of Egypt? Not only that, but God also commands that the Israelites kill children in the genocides that we just talked about. So it makes no sense to scream, but think of the children, when God is all like, kill them little fuckers. Also, how is this an argument in your favor that God was standing by and watching all these child sacrifices happen and just sitting there warning them that they should stop doing that shit until one day God is just like, okay, we gotta stop this shit. Let's just go ahead and kill all the kids. That's a solid solution to save children, right?
And God came to them repeatedly and said, this needs to stop, and warned them for hundreds of years. And at the end of all of that, when they did not heed the warning of God, yes, he commands the destruction of these folks.
Well, for one, God told them to stop worshiping other gods. It obviously didn't matter, as far as the genocides go, that they were sacrificing their own children. You don't remember God commanded Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac? Granted, God did stop him from sacrificing Isaac, but the fact remains is that he called for a child sacrifice. Later, God would sacrifice his only son to accomplish something that he could easily do without killing his own son. And y'all celebrate that shit. And then finally, considering that God calls on the Israelites to kill babies, children, and everyone else, I really don't think God was all that concerned with the babies and children at this point. Considering all of this, it seems incredibly weird that you would frame these genocides as being a way to stop the child sacrificing that was going on in those nations. He obviously didn't care about them sacrificing kids, otherwise he wouldn't have had the kids killed. Even in the Midianite genocide, he still had children killed and only took the virgin girls for non-sex reasons. What this kind of leads us to is the fact that he only cared that they weren't worshiping him and that they were worshiping other gods.
Now, think about that for a second. How many times have you talked to somebody who's not a believer who has kind of shake their fist and said, you know, why doesn't God stop evil in the world? We see all this evil. If God cares about, why doesn't he stop this evil? Well, here you got an example of God doing just that. Seeing evil, warning about it, declaring it, calling it out, giving them time to repent. And then when they don't, he destroys the group that's involved in this kind of genocide.
Yeah, but two evil actions don't make a good one. It's not like we're multiplying two negative numbers to get a positive here. Killing all the children in order to stop the killing of children seems to be really ineffective. J-Dub's making this out to be like God is somehow combating evil is somewhat of a mindfuck. God literally only cares about people worshiping him. And we know that because he directly tells us this shit. And you gaslighting everyone on why God commanded the genocide of these people groups is just not gonna work. People can literally read the words on the page there, J-Dubs.
They were involved in. So we can't have it both ways. If we're saying that why doesn't God act to stop evil, we can't complain when God actually acts to stop evil. We have to be consistent.
Again, you cannot stop evil by committing even more evil. You're just perpetuating different types of evil. The evil that God is concerned about is worshiping somebody other than him. And that's it. God tells us this when he overemphasizes the crimes of the Midianites being that they were worshiping other gods. And if you look at Numbers 25, 1-3, you'll find the Lord to be very pissed off. While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with Moabite women, who invited them to the sacrifices to their gods. The people ate the sacrificial meal and bowed down before these gods. So Israel yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor, and the Lord's anger burned against them. See, that's what God cares about, the worship of other gods. He doesn't give two shits about human life. If he cared about human life, then we would see him make that a priority. But He doesn't do that. We see God consistently putting himself first. Making this whole genocide argument about God preventing evil is just disingenuous.